Hello and good morning. Welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you here with us. My name is Charles Williams, and I am one half of the dynamic duo that is inside the principal's office. Good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Before I jump in, I wanted to do something. So this morning, unbeknownst to most of us here, is going to be a morning of celebrations. So I'm going to do this because he's been putting it out there. So it's no surprise. So tomorrow, everyone, is Mac's birthday. So he's going to be 35 years young. So happy birthday, Mac. Happy birthday.
Thank
How
you.
are you, sir?
Thank you. I could think of no better way to celebrate my birthday eve than to spend it with all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're honored.
We are. Who would have thought just a few months ago we'd be doing this?
See there?
So Mac and I, we're both principals. I am a principal here in Chicago. I'm also the co-host of this show, obviously, host of the Counter Narrative podcast, an educational consultant, an author, a speaker, just a myriad of different things, just trying to make my impact as big as I can in the world of education. Mac, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Yes, it's my birthday eve. Yes, I'm one of those obnoxious extra people when it comes to their birthday. I don't celebrate all month, but oh my goodness, about 5 days before the big day, I really let you have it. I'm a career principal from Texas, and this school year, I am celebrating my 20th year in the principal seat. I've been in education for 26 years. This is my 20th year as a principal, and I am so passionate about the work that I do. I was one of those at-risk learners, and I know the power of education and what it has done for me, and I want to provide that same opportunity for others. We're so excited to have two guests from Arkansas that I had the privilege to meet this spring, and they are phenomenal. They are a dynamic duo, or they were a dynamic duo. We had some changes in the last 24 hours. Faith, we want you to introduce yourself. Josh, we want you to introduce yourself and tell us all the exciting things that are going on in your life.
I'm Faith Short, and I have been, for the past 4 years, the assistant principal at East Pointe Elementary in Greenwood. And as of about 48 hours ago, I will now be the principal of East Pointe Elementary. And that means that Josh and I are breaking up, but he's not going to be too far away. So I'll still be able to just call him anytime I have a question, and I'm sure there will be several. And he also knows that I'm one of those, Mac, that I'm like, my birthday's coming up, and I bet he can tell you when it is because it's a must-know kind of thing.
That's right.
Her birthday is the entire month of September, by the way. We start celebrating in August.
Yes. So Josh, tell us about yourself and tell us the exciting news that's going on with you.
Yeah, you bet, man. So I'm Josh Ray. I'm the new high school principal in Greenwood, Arkansas. And I went from having the pleasure of being made to look much better than I am for working for 4 years with Faith Short, the best partner that anyone could ask for, to now everyone's going to realize that I was just a big phony, and she was making me look really, really good. But I'm a son of a kindergarten teaching mama, a lifetime educator, married an educator, and this is just who I am. So it's a privilege to be here and to be visiting about the things that matter the most to me.
Well, Faith, congratulations on your promotion. Josh, congratulations on your new position. I'm sure that both of you guys are going to do an amazing job. So today we're actually talking just a little bit about that. What Josh was just talking about, leveraging the strengths of your team, of a great AP and the rest of the people around you. And that is what we want to talk about this morning. You know, one of the things I often say is that if leadership is lonely, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Right? We have teams around us. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a question. We're going to talk a little bit about it, give you some reminders of some upcoming events. Of course, we have our second question, and then we close out with one of my favorite parts of the show, which ideas that stick. So, Mac, do you think it's time to get ready for question one?
Yes, I'm ready to jump in because I am ready to get into this dialogue. I'm interested to hear what Josh and Faith have to say because I've seen them together in action. Our first question comes from a young man, Mr. Neely, a second grade teacher in HEB ISD, right in the state of Texas.
Hi, my name is Elmer Neely, and I'm a second grade teacher in Texas in Hurst-Euless Bedford ISD. My question is, what do you identify as the needed attributes to form an impactful leadership team?
Faith, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm going to just draw from some experience here. And from the very beginning, when Josh and I came together as a team, we didn't know each other. We hadn't worked together. I mean, we were coming to a brand new school as brand new people. And so the thing I think that started right from the get-go that really kind of established that foundation, and it was trust. And the thing about it was we sat down and we had a conversation, and a lot of times we think about trust being something that's earned, but instead it really needs to be something that we provide on the onset. And so right off the bat, Josh said, we're going to trust one another. And, so that vulnerability right off the bat it made me like, okay, this guy's for real, and we're really going to be a team. And so it made me want to do, to trust him completely and to be a partnership instead of individual. That was huge, I thought, from the very beginning. What do you think?
That. I really liked that fact, Faith, when you said, we always say that trust has to be earned. And it was like, no, just come out and give that thing, because imagine all the time we waste. So it's a great point.
Yeah, what I would add to that is you could lose trust quick. And so when we started with that conversation, I remember that vividly. It was, hey, you're my people. I need you. And for me, I had been a secondary teacher and a secondary administrator, and now here I am in this K4 campus. So I could lean really heavily on my ignorance. And I said, listen, I need you all, but I need to know that I can trust you, that we're going to go through these things together. And I'm going to share the decisions with you as long as we can close this door, and I can trust you all to tell me the things that maybe aren't even comfortable for me to hear. That's a big thing for a principal. It's so hard for us to know that someone cares enough about us to tell us things that even aren't very comfortable sometimes. Mac, I don't know if you've experienced that too. That's a tough spot to be.
It is. And as I listen to you, I have an attribute that someone probably doesn't have on their list. I don't know, you may have it, maybe not in this way, but I say one of the major attributes is you have a refusal to play nice. And I think that's what I hear you all saying, is that from the onset, I'll be honest, trust is hard just to give someone trust, because usually life has taught me not to trust anyone until they give me a reason to trust them. But in this situation, you have to trust them until they give you a reason not to.
That's right.
But that reason not to would be a violation of some very clear expectations that you set out from the onset. A lot of times when we come and we partner, we oftentimes show people, this idea of who we are. But I hear you all saying that you had a very honest conversation about, this is what I need if this is going to work. This is what I lack. This is what you bring. This is how we're going to do that. And so I think that is very important. We can't play nice because the stakes are too high. Student learning is our goal. So it's just that let's just be real with each other and tell each other what we need. And no more playing nice. We have to call each other on the carpet when the other person does something that violates those initial things that we set up in our conversation.
No, absolutely, Mac. I love that authenticity piece, right? We have to come to the table being our authentic selves and staying in that space. And I think one of the other things here is we have to be mindful, especially even though we talk about leadership teams, at the end of the day, if you're the principal, you're always being viewed as kind of the head of that team, even though you're trying to level that playing field. So really making sure that there's autonomy. Like if I'm going to tell you like, hey, I need you, and I need to give you the space, to do the work that you're going to do. And I think that once teams realize, no, I have the capacity, I have the autonomy to do the work that you've asked me to do, then we're going to be impactful. Because if I'm running back to you every few moments, every few days saying, hey, is it okay if we're never going to get anywhere. Right. And so I love everything that we're talking about, this idea of trust and vulnerability, of authenticity. It's great. Right. And notice that we haven't talked about any specific skills. Right. It's just these are character traits that make a team work. So before we continue on, I'm wondering, do you have a second one? Do you have like a backup ready to go?
So Charles, you led right into something that I was thinking about, and specifically from the role of being the principal, we've got to be diagnostic. And so when knowing that if you're the building principal, you've got to lead that team as part of the role that you have. You need to be able to identify and promote in people what their strengths are. Because if you place someone that you do trust and that works very hard and is trying to do a good job in a place where they're not going to be successful because they don't have the skill set to do that, they're going to be less effective and you're going to be frustrated. And so I think part of that trust, it deepens when I feel like I have a leader who understands me, knows what I'm good at, has heard me say those things, and then says, hey, I'm going to point you in that direction, and I'm going to let you really bloom in the spot where you feel the strongest.
It's a great point. And so I'm wondering, Mac or Faith, how do we cultivate that, right? Josh just said you might identify those leadership traits in somebody, and it's great when they're willing to step up, right? And you could kind of point them in the right direction. But so often we have individuals on our teams that are phenomenal, that have some amazing strengths, but they don't know it yet, or they're not willing to step in. So what are some tactics that you use to cultivate that from some of your reluctant leaders?
I think a lot of times it comes from, and I'm thinking about things that we've done with our teams, or even coaching that's been done with me, because I'm kind of the product of that encouragement. I'm kind of the product of people coming behind me and saying, have you ever considered, think about this, things that I like. Leadership is not something that I had ever thought I would go into, but I'm the product of that. People coming behind me and saying, what about instruction? I really think that you would, do really great in instruction and curriculum, because that's kind of your passion. And then from there progressing forward. And so I think it's that same thing. I think it's the encouragement. I think a lot of times people have those skills, but they are insecure about them. And so just promoting them and providing them encouragement, and then standing there with them and being a constant support and letting them know, I'm not going to let you fail. So I think that fear of failure is a big part. And so when we are there and they know, hey, they're with me, I'm not going to fail. It makes a big difference.
One of the things as principal, you're making this team with your AP, but you also have to remember, as a principal, you are the lead learner. You're the learning leader on campus, and you are the teacher of teachers. So I think it's just like I try to treat my AP, all of my staff members, like I am their teacher. So it's just like that teacher in a classroom that notices something in a child and finds ways to cultivate that. As a leader, it's not enough to say, oh, they have that skill, I'm going to let them do this. But it becomes important for you to very strategically set them up, like Josh said, set them up for success, put them in places where you know they're going to do well, but then also diagnose what is a skill that they're going to need as a principal that they don't have yet, and how do I allow them opportunities to practice those skills, possibly with guided practice, and then now let me strategically and very intentionally give them experience there, but plan for a gradual release. So we stood there together, but knowing the eventual goal is for one day for them to stand in that space on their own and own it.
Yeah. Mac, you said something that just really resonated for me, the teacher of teachers. And sometimes I think we forget as leaders that educational leaders were teachers first. And so how do we strengthen the self-voice of a child? How do we help them to develop their inner confidence in the areas that they're strong? And why can't we try those same things with adults? Because we're just bigger kids with bigger egos, you know what I mean? And so I think if it works in the classroom, it works with teachers. And so the same type things that work for kids and reaching those kids that might not have confidence or might have a struggle in a certain area, that's how we go about the people on our team. And the great thing for us as educational leaders is we're dealing with educators. So they're going to be familiar with that. They're going to know that that's worked with their kids. And I think that we start as being a teacher first.
Right.
Josh, we're going to have to rewind that really quick. You said if it works in the classroom, it works with your teachers. Like there's a nugget right there. We got to definitely, if you're watching this, please, like if you have your little black notebook like Mac has, like definitely jot that nugget down.
It's in there.
Faith, I'm sorry, you were going to say something. I jumped in.
I was just going to say, it was just like what Mac was talking about earlier. That's exactly, we've had those conversations lots of times before. It's kind of the I do, we do, you do. And even between the two of us, he has strengths that I don't have and vice versa. And so there have been times that it's been, okay, I'm going to go in and we're going to go together, but you're going to watch. And then next time we're going to do it together. And then you're going to do it. And I'm going to coach you through it afterwards. We're going to provide feedback. It's exactly the same thing with the adults and together, even between administrators. So Max said, we're the lead learners. We're probably the biggest learners of everything.
We have to be.
Some amazing thoughts there, some amazing ideas. So before we jump into question 2, I can't believe that we're already like halfway through today's episode. It's insane how quickly time flies. So before we get there, I want to do a couple of things. First of all, if you're watching the show, thank you for being here. Please make sure that you are interacting. This is not supposed to be a sit and get. If you want to drop a hello, you want to drop a question, even if you want to chime in with the way that you would respond to the question, please make sure that you are interacting with us, engaging with us. We love to see all of you here. And as a bonus, well, I'll talk about that in just a moment. So make sure that you're liking and then subscribing to all of SchoolRubric, all of their different platforms. Please do not forget that next week on Wednesday, the 21st, in collaboration with SchoolRubric and Rock Your Class, we are going to have a special Rock Your Leadership conference. There are going to be 4 of us, myself, Matthew Joseph, P. Sloan Joseph, and Darren Shepard. We are going to be bringing to you some leadership tips for post-COVID. And if you use the code IMPACT, all capitalization, you will get a reduced fee. Now, here's the bonus point that I talked about a little earlier, that if you are here, if you're watching, if you drop a comment, we are going to choose 2 of you to join that conference for free. And it's not just for you, but for your entire building, because we want all of you to come and to receive some value. So please make sure that you are dropping some comments for your chance to get that school-wide free registration. Whew. All right. With all of that being said, let's jump into question number 2, coming from none other than the Rock Your Class individual, Stephen or Etienne. Let's hear it.
Hey, it's Steve Langlois, Etienne here, and I just have a question for you. Now that we've discussed the specific attributes needed to form a strong team, what can principals and APs do to increase the collective influence and ability to impact students' achievement on the campus of the students that they serve? Hope to see you and your staffs at the Rock Your Leadership Conference on July 21st. I'll sit back and hear your answer.
So it's a great question, right? We've talked about all of these different characteristics and skills, the vulnerability, the trust, the accountability, the autonomy, all of those things. But now how do we take all of those pieces and put it together to make sure that we're being impactful? So Josh, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, for us at East Pointe, it starts with the collaborative team. Everything works from that place. And so we make sure that the leadership team that we develop and that we talked about in question 1 is part of those conversations with every single teacher in our school. And something that I like to say is leadership is like discipleship, that I as the principal won't be able to reach every single person in our school, but I have my people. And then my question for them is, who are your people? And then who are their people? And so I think that we start with that leadership team. We do all of these practices, and then we spread out from there. And then the ultimate goal is, how is this impacting student learning? So we at the base level, it's the collaborative team, and then we come back to that leadership team, practice and learn together, and then disperse back out to the collaborative team. And that process is coming in and out all the time in the school, and that's what makes it really organic and where we're learning from one another.
I like that discipleship, right? Spreading out there like that. That was That's a
And
great
you
idea.
highlight something that is so important that I think is oftentimes lost in school, is that while the buck stops at the principal's desk, when things go wrong, you have to take ownership of it. The successes are always going to be done collectively. So it goes beyond the principal and the AP, and building that guiding coalition, building that group of people that you pour into so they can go out and pour out into others. I think that is a piece that many school leaders miss, is that all the magic does not happen in the AP and the principal's office. The magic in schools do not happen in the conference room. The magic happens in rooms where you have multiple stakeholders gathered and you're learning together. That's the big skill, is everything that happens for student achievement starts with adults learning together, sharing their learning, giving each other feedback. So it's more than just the AP and the principal. It is, who are you as a team of two? Who are you pouring into? Who's the other team? I think that is awesome.
We heard someone say to us one time that, and I've just really taken it to heart, but they said it's hard to be a prophet in your own land.
Yeah.
And so when they're talking about that as administrators, instead of telling someone, the teachers, they're going to have so much more impact with their colleagues than we will. And so having the opportunity to really kind of invest in them and then have them go out and invest in their teammates.
Right.
So.
I love that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think to that point that Faith just made, we have to realize as administrators that it's okay if there are people in the building that we're not the most influential people, that if we can't influence them, we have to know who can. And that's all right. You can't reach every single person in the building as long as you know who has that influence. It's about collecting the people that have other people.
And I'm writing in my book, Influence the Influencers.
So, one of the things that I love about this is that, and we've talked a lot about this idea that the world of social media has gotten to a space now where we no longer have to just be in our own schools, right? I know that Mac was doing this with Dan over in England across principalship, right? My guy I sell down in Texas, he's doing this where he's bringing leaders in to speak to his team.
Right.
And so you're absolutely right. After a while, right, our voices can sometimes turn into white noise, right? Just okay, Mr. But if Mac jumps into my building and he says the same things that I'm saying, it's a set of fresh ears, right? Of fresh voices here. Right. And so absolutely, I love that idea to say, how can we even expand this, right, beyond our own buildings? Because our leadership teams no longer have to be confined to our own spaces.
Right. And I am so excited moving into this next year. Claire Springer, we've worked together for 6 years, and she is an assistant principal, get this, that's been chosen to open the 25th elementary in our district. Unheard of for an AP to be chosen to open a brand new school. And one of the things that we're excited about is taking these concepts of PLC and collaboration and really being able to create a model of what true sister schools look like. She'll be less than 5 miles away from Savannah, and we're really putting some plans in place to do exactly what we're talking about now, to have true sister schools where we're training together and we're talking to each other, and my staff knows your staff. And we are now, instead of building on the strengths of one campus, we will now have 2 campuses with teachers and specialists and interventionists that have skills and specific abilities. And now we will be able to leverage that so now even more kids can learn at home. And we're so excited about what's going to happen.
So I wanted to share an idea that I kind of had waiting for this one. And I know we talked a little bit about this, but one of the things that I'm really diving into is the concept of, zone of genius, right? So we talk about these 4 different zones of being. And I think so often when we're talking about making sure that our teams are impactful is allowing other people to operate in their zones of genius, right? Those areas, not only that they're great, but they're also being fulfilled. Because a lot of times, I don't know about you, but there are days I walk out of a building and I'm just like, I'm drained. I'm not like, why do I do this work, right? And it's because I was operating in those other areas, when in reality, someone else could have been doing that for me. They would have been getting the job done great. They would be getting fulfilled and would give me the space to go do something else that I'm great at and also getting fulfilled. So I think one of the ways to do that is recognizing not only what are our strengths, but how can we allow you to operate in that space? And I know that's one thing that my team has talked a lot about at the end of last year, and we're gearing up for this year, is really identifying that and saying, hey, look, that's your zone. Like, you take the lead for that, because it's going to be that much more impactful. And which is the part that makes me happier, is that they're going to be happy and they're going to want to come to work every day because they're operating within that zone of genius.
Charles, I really like that idea. And one thing that we have worked really hard at East Pointe to be better at is celebrating around some of those areas, but then always tying it to student learning. And so the idea of the zone of genius is really powerful for Faith and for me, because that's just the way that we operate. But when you take what someone loves and where they feel most effective and most connected as a leader, or even as a member of the school, and then you can show evidence of how that's helping kids to learn. And you as a leadership team can say, hey, listen, I know you love this, and you're not just really good at it. You're not helping take something off my plate, but look at what you're doing for kids when you do this thing. Then you have people at that point, because they're doing what they love and they're helping kids at the same time. So I think that's a really, really powerful concept. And that's something that Faith and I have worked quite a bit on.
I mean, that's why we're in education, right? To help
That's right.
kids and to do what we love. I mean,
That's right.
Right.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I know that we're wrapping this up. I'm keeping an eye on time, and I think it's about time we transition over to my favorite part. What do you think?
Your favorite part? My favorite part too. Because this is the time where we translate our conversation into action. We want to create a safe space for administrators. And this is a point where we create what we call ideas that stick. And this is when we move what we talked about into practices. What can we do? What will we do? So ideas that stick. Today, what practice will you and your leadership team commit to this year to leverage each of your strengths and maximize your team's potential? An idea that stick, a practice, because mid-year I'm going to have a new AP. My idea that sticks is this. It is going to be very important for that new leadership team to create systems and calibrate practices. When I'll have a new AP mid-year, it's going to be very important for us to document how we will do the things that we will do for kids, and then we will need to calibrate our practices so that our staff, if they get me in a meeting, if they get my AP in the meeting, there should be just a seamless execution. So create systems and calibrate practices. Faith, what would your idea that stick be?
Mine actually is just kind of an extension of what you're talking about, Mac, and it is very poignant for where I'm moving in my, for this next school year, and that is to really develop a co-leadership system between both administrators. And that way, from the very beginning with Josh and I, it was always, our staff knew it was Josh and Faith, or Faith and Josh, that we were together on everything, and that we made decisions together, and they knew that whatever they heard from one of us, they were going to hear from both of us. And so even with disagreements or anything, we do that behind closed doors, and then we come out and we are completely unified. We're on the same page. And so I think just developing that capacity in your assistant, but doing it together so they have the same amount of respect from their staff members, and just to strengthen each other as far as growth in areas that we are not as strong in, and then to also, help the person with you to grow in the areas that they're not as strong in. And so it's completely a team-led effort. And so I think that just that co-leadership
powerful,
between administrators.
That's powerful. Now you have an opportunity to do that for an AP. I'm going to tell you a term that I use on my campus with Claire, and that is, you use that word co-leadership. I refer to Claire on our campus as the co-principal. Josh? I did
Yes.
that.
First off, I think it's cute that Faith says that anybody ever said Josh and Faith, because there's always been Faith and Josh. I mean, that's just how we operate.
Correct the record, sir. Correct the record.
Listen, come on. That's nice, Faith, but let's be real. For me, it's about that distribution of leadership, and that, kind of like I said earlier, that leadership is discipleship, and that we start, like Faith was just saying, with the point and with leaning into one another, but then we as administrators have to start developing that in other people throughout our school, that we have to be able to diagnose what they're good at, to point them in those directions, and to make sure that we celebrate them, so that leadership and the responsibility of that doesn't fall all on us, and that we can also celebrate when other people are doing awesome things that we might not have been able to do as the principal.
Nice. I usually we don't like chat during this part, and so I'm going to break this, and that's okay, right? We do what we want. It's our show, Mac. Right? No. we do what we want. It's our show. I love that you guys talked about systems, and I just wanted to say this because, like, we talk a lot about plans, but plans are oddly specific to certain situations, right? And so I'm glad that you guys said systems, because when you have a system, right, you could have different inputs with the idea of getting to the same output. But with a plan, it's like, well, if this happens, then this happens. And we know in education, we're hoping that one thing happens, which most,
but it rarely does.
It never does. So I was so excited. Like when you guys said systems, I'm like, yes. So my idea that stick, and I talked a little bit about it before, was just really operating within your zone of genius. And this is something I want to share more and more with my team this year. And we've had a rough last year and a half. And we've come out beat up and drained and exhausted. And I really hope that if we sit within our zone of genius as much as we possibly can this year, that it's going to help to offset some of the chaos that we're undoubtedly going to be entering into as school years resume to some sense of normalcy. So that is mine. Identify your zone of genius and operate within that, and making sure that your team members are doing the same. So.
Excellent. This broadcast has been amazing. Josh and Faith, I am so thankful for you joining us today. And I'm so excited about your journey, and I wish you well. We want to remind all of our viewers today about Rock Your Leadership Conference, and use the discount code IMPACT for your discounted registration for Rock Your Leadership. And hey, I'm really excited about July 30th and 31st. We're having our first ever principal meetup in Dallas, Texas. Leadership as big as Texas. It's going to be an awesome opportunity for us to gather, yes, in person, and learn from each other. We're going to do some connecting and networking on Friday night, and then Saturday we have a day planned of learning. It's not sit and get. You won't see a sage on the stage, but we're going to have an opportunity to network and learn from each other. And you're going to leave that day with so many things that you can implement in your leadership immediately.
And Mac, I think we only have a few seats left. So if you are looking, if you're in the Dallas area, or even if you're not, because remember, I'm from Chicago, but I'll be in Dallas. So feel free to join us. It will be worth the investment. We only have a few seats left. So if you were thinking about it, don't lose. You snooze, you lose.
You snooze, you lose. We will be broadcasting our show on the 31st. Live from the principal meetup. So it's going to be awesome. But I tell you, if you sit at home and say, oh, I'm just going to watch the live broadcast, you're going to be so disappointed when the cameras go off and we continue to learn together. Oh, you're going to be disappointed. So invest in yourself. What did I say? Make an investment in yourself and in your leadership, and ultimately the kids that you serve, because everything is about producing more student outcomes.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Faith, Josh, thank you for being here. Mac, thank you for being an amazing co-host as always. And for
thank you, Charles. I can't wait. You know, we've never met in person. I can't
we have never met. We have never met.
29th, whenever you're coming. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm gonna just come down early now to meet you.
You should. We're going to do a photo shoot. We're going to do all kinds of things. I got all kinds of things planned for you.
Well, thank you, viewers, for watching. We hope to see you, if not in person live down in Dallas, definitely on here in 2 weeks. We will see you then. Until then, take care. We will see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for watching School Rubric on YouTube. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe in order to stay looped in on all of our diverse collection of shows, interviews, panels, tutorials, and more from educators around the globe. And visit us at SchoolRubric.com for even more great content such as our online articles, Interact magazine, featured podcasts, and more. Thank you.